Hey, what's going on? And welcome to Fired Up with Rad. I am the host, Rad, and I am sitting here with Paul Markel, Marine Corps, and I'm sure entrepreneur, also owner of studentofthegun.com. Mm-hmm. So let's just plug that right now, studentofthegun.com.
Student of the Gun.
So I want to say thanks for being on the show today with Fired Up with Rad.
Thank you for having me.
And I just want to know a little bit about what made you go into the Marine Corps.
What made me go to the Marine Corps? Well, I was bored and didn't have anything to do at the time, so I was like,
How old were you?
Actually, I was 20. I was like 6 days after my 20th birthday, I arrived at Paris Island. I got a good story for you. I was in love when I was 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was still in love when I was 19. And then the person I was in love with fell out of love with me. And I had to make a decision. I was like, I went to high school, got out, and I was like, I got this girl that I love. And you know, when you're 18, you love.
Yeah, it's love.
You're like, oh.
Forever.
And then, so there I am. I was like, you know, I had plans, and now my schedule's kind of freed up. I had actually been a young Marine. There's this youth organization, like the Boy Scouts, only way better, called the Young Marines of the United States of America. And I was one. Many moons ago. Mm-hmm. And so I walked in the recruiter's office and I said, hey, talk to me. And he said, what do you want to do? And he did the recruiter thing on me. He's like, bing, bang, boom.
Wouldn't you agree that this is a good idea for you?
And the thing is, I was an easy sell because I wanted to be a United States Marine. I wasn't like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll be in the Army, or maybe I'll be in the Air Force, or maybe I'll be in the Navy. There was never one of those, I'm shopping around for whichever branch is going to cut me the best deal. I was either going to be in the Marine Corps or I was going to be nothing. So, boom, boom, boom. There I am at Paris Island, 1987. That's when I became a United States Marine.
1987.
Yes, during the Cold War. And did a lot of stuff with them. I was on the USS Forrestal, part of the Marine detachment. Back in the old days when we actually had Marines on ships.
Okay.
To guard the...
Like war pigs?
The special weapons. All nuclear vessels during the Cold War had a Marine detachment on them.
I see.
All vessels used to have Marine detachments, but during the Clinton, I think it was the Clinton administration, late into the Clinton administration, they realized that Marines were mean and they hurt sailors' feelings. So they're like, well, you know, we can't be having them hurting feelings anymore. And we want to put women on the ships. So we can't really have Marine detachments on the ships and women on the ships at the same time, because then the sailors will they'll be super butthurt because then they won't get anything. So they're like, well, what's the solution? No, the solution is to take the Marines off the ships so that the sailors have a chance. And I'm sure that I'm making your audience happy, and that's good. You know, rock on. So I did that. I did 2 years sea duty all over the world, every ocean and all that jazz. And then I left there and I went to Camp Lejeune. I was an infantryman by trade.
Okay. That's 0311, right?
I was 0351, but in 03.
Okay.
0351, back in the Cold War, was anti-tank dragon gunner.
Well, and that's where the SMAW goes?
The SMAW. Like when I was in, you had dragons, you had SMAWs, and you had LAWs. You still had the LAWs rocket, which we still have. I was actually in before they invented the AT-4, and I just got to use the AT-4 towards the end of my career, my tour. Did that. I ended up being deployed to the first Desert War, Gulf War I. We didn't know. It's like World War I. The dudes who were in World War I, they didn't run around the battlefield in France saying, we're in World War I.
No.
Because it was just the war. They had no idea another one was coming. And when we were over there, we were doing that, and it was just the Gulf War. We didn't realize it was going to be part one. There would be a sequel a few years later.
Right.
I didn't get in on the sequel, actually. I had gone into the Marine Corps, got out of the Marine Corps, went back in the reserve, got out of the reserve all before 9/11, and I used my GI Bill. It was in 1991, 92. They're like, hey, we don't need all these Marines and sailors and soldiers. Get them out, like they do after every armed conflict in the history of
downsize.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need these people, so send them away. So
payroll.
I went and I used my GI Bill to go to the police academy, became a police officer. And then I also realized that, hey, you know what? 200,000 other veterans are all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
They're all just got out of the Army, Marine Corps, whatever, went to the police academy, and we're all trying to get the same jobs. So I would go to a, what are they called? Civil service exam for a major city like Akron, Ohio, right? And Canton, Ohio. And they would have 3 job listings, 3 job openings for the civil service test. And they would take us into this huge inner city high school auditorium and make us take the test. So it'd be 500 people for 3 jobs. I was like, This isn't going to work. So I kept my police commission, and I stayed on with a small department, and I actually started doing bodyguard work, executive protection. Before I joined the Marine Corps, because this is how motivated I was, before I joined the Marine Corps, I actually went to an official bodyguard school. Saved up my pennies and nickels and stuff, and I went to a bodyguard school. And that was another thing is I realized, I was 19. I was like way youngest in the class.
I'm going to be a bodyguard.
Yeah, people are like, they're like, we'll take your money, but here's the deal. You're never going to get a job, a real job, at age 19. It's just not going to happen. And so somebody gave me a piece of advice. They're like, why don't you cool your heels and go do some service? Join the service, man. And then when you come out, you're going to have a bunch of experience under your belt and so forth. So that's what I did.
War college.
Yeah. So, I got my degree in conflict resolution.
Okay.
And I became a bodyguard, and I worked full-time as a bodyguard for about 14 years or so.
Now, was this like a State Department or just like
no,
rock
it was
stars?
actually, like private, and it wasn't really rock stars. I did a little tiny bit of that, but mostly it was for companies that were out of, in the D.C., Virginia area.
Okay.
There's a bunch of security firms, high-end security firms, and they contract people from all over the United States, and they send them here and there, and it's all contract work. So I did that for a long time. And then during GWOT, during the current global war on terror, I wasn't actually working for the military, and I was just doing all the bodyguard stuff, and a contract came open to do training. And something that I've been doing for a long time is handgun training, firearms training, use of force training. When I was in the police department, I became an OC pepper spray instructor. And,
that's sounds like fun, that. Right?
So I've sprayed in excess of 300 humans.
That
plus
was my
lots
question.
Of animals.
That was my question.
I know how it works.
That's my question. Are you able to like handle it yourself? Like just like, this doesn't bother me?
No, it bothers you.
Yeah.
And out of like 300 plus over a period of 20 some years training, there are two individuals that stood out in my mind that it really didn't affect. They're just kind of like, this is annoying, but it's not making me
cry.
Like
a fly.
Yeah, and people are like, well, see, that's why it's no good. Those people were going to get hit with sticks. See, that's the thing people don't understand. Like pepper spray for cops is a low-end use of force.
Right.
It's not a high-end. And, if they're like, well, what if you spray a bad guy and it doesn't affect them? Well, you don't tell them just go home, try again tomorrow.
No, they go down further with the next level.
You're like, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm going to take this stick and I'm going to hit you with it. They used to be made of hickory and oak, and now they're made of fancy polymers and stuff.
Sure.
But it's like your best bet. And it's like if you're a bad guy, your best bet is just go ahead and submit to the pepper spray, because it's not going to get more fun as it goes up.
As you get beat,
it's going to get less.
Yeah.
With pepper spray, you're going to wash your face off, cold water, and within an hour, 2 hours, you'll be okay. You might be a little red or whatever, but you'll be okay. If I hit you with this hickory stick, you're going to be limping for a while.
Right.
You'll tomorrow when you wake up, you'll know. You'll remember. You're like, yeah, when I was fighting that cop, he hit me with that stick across my thigh, and now I'm limping to the bathroom. Like, yeah,
because
so I should just like, okay, the pepper spray was enough. I'm done. So anyway, I did that. I did all that, but I got this contract to be a member of a team that was going to do small arms and tactics instruction for the U.S. Navy. Actually, it was a Department of Defense contract, but most of the students were Department of the Navy. And you say, why?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking small arms. I'm thinking like M9s. I'm thinking like
pistols,
rifles, some machine guns.
Yeah,
MP5,
TCCC stuff. Okay, so basically, somebody at the Pentagon, actually somebody at headquarters, the Navy headquarters, said, current global war on terror, we have a lot of Navy personnel that actually aren't on ships. We've got the Seabees.
Right.
We have EOD guys. We have corpsmen. We have the chaplain's assistants. Now, you know that chaplains in the Marine Corps are Navy.
No, I didn't know. I know that the corpsmen are Navy.
Corpsmen are Navy.
Attached to Marines.
Chaplains are Navy. Okay. Doctors are Navy. The Marine Corps did not have doctors. Doesn't have dentists. It doesn't have chaplains.
Or their own paycheck.
Or that. So all these people are actually Navy personnel that get detached out to Marine units. And, so we're doing this whole global war on terror thing. We got Navy people that aren't on ships. They're actually going out on convoys.
Right, moving out.
They're actually going on patrols. And their whole combat prep was go to the range and do a pistol qual course. Shoot 50 rounds. Okay, you're combat qualified.
So you know how to
Drive
shoot
on,
your pistol.
Man. Yeah, they're like, do a CPR course. Now you're first aid qualified. We don't do CPR on the battlefield. Okay? The chances of you having to do Heimlich to a dude in combat, like zero. So some admiral said, we should probably give these people the skills that they would need to not die when their convoy gets attacked, or at very least not get in the way.
Or have a chance.
Yeah. So they came up with this expeditionary combat skills school that they had to go through TCCC, which is combat medicine.
Okay.
And then we had to do M9s, M4s, and we did force-on-force stuff with simunitions. We did, things that you would do, ambush and land navigation.
Right.
This is a compass.
Right.
This is a map. And 18-year-olds in 2007 or 8 or 9 or 10
still didn't even
are like, why is that thing made out of paper?
What is
but
it?
I have an app on my phone, and that will take me where I need to go.
There's no signal.
And they're like, and they're like, well, they're a Blue Force tracker. I'll never get lost. You ever heard of Jessica Lynch? That was Blue Force tracker. When they say, just follow the vehicle in front of you. They're like, okay. And then boom, boom, boom.
She got
smoke,
lost.
explosions.
Right.
There's no vehicle in front of me anymore.
And you're by yourself.
Where do we go? Mm-hmm. I'm like, the whole Jessica Lynch saga, which most kids don't know today. I'm Army dudes.
I know.
Rocking on. You say Jessica, and they're like,
she's the first female TV,
POW in the GWAT.
And she's an 88 Mike, which is a truck driver, so females can't go to combat. So she chose a truck driver job so she could get into combat.
So they're boom, boom, boom. There's not a truck in front of us anymore. What do we do? I don't know. Go left. And they drive right into Solder City or wherever they were. They're like, where'd all these guys come from? Pa, 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 pa. So that whole thing started because they got lost.
Right.
Because they didn't know where to go. That whole entire thing.
Because of technology.
Well, because, we don't need that. We got blue. Why are we wasting time with maps and compasses when we have Blue Force trackers and GPSs, and those always work?
Right. No, they don't. Batteries run out. Satellites aren't lined up. You don't have signal.
Yeah, they don't.
It doesn't work. It doesn't.
So that was actually one of the most gratifying types of training that I did for the kids was land nav.
Simple land nav, understanding.
You teach them, and that you start at the beginning, like this is a map, this is a compass, this is how they work, this is what we do, and then when you get all the way to the end, and they're just like, wow, I did it. I took a map.
I looked through the compass. I saw the little line. I found my path.
I plotted it on the map. I drew a line.
We call that orienteering.
We paced it off, and we found our way. And you give them points to find.
That's right.
And so they find one. They're like, hey, we can actually do this. And they find another one. They find another one. And they get an obstacle, and they have to go around the obstacle. And they figure that out. And they figure it out, and it's genuine learning.
Right.
It's not just recitation.
No.
They learn to actually apply what you taught them. And that was really gratifying.
Well, and it makes sense to learn how to use a compass.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like I told them this is your analog GPS. And of course, then they're like,
what? I've used like Garmin 401s on my wrist, right? And that's probably like the easiest way to plot a course, but I still always have a compass because the GPS isn't going to tell me north is this way. It's just
the batteries are never going to die.
Of course.
A compass battery is never going to die. You can read it in the daytime, you can read it at night. You don't have to worry about.
We do a lot of land nav during war games, dude, out here.
You should have to do it.
Yeah.
So
nighttime land nav, we do it all out here in the Utah desert where we have these GPSs, we have these compasses, and we're hunting each other in war games at night. And you have to land nav. It's like, well, which way's the objective? Well, it's at okay. So you have to make a KMZ file, and then you have to upload that, and then you have to download that to your 401 on your GPS, and the next thing you know, you're busting out your compass just to figure out. Lens static compass is the one that I'm used to using, right? And it has that little magnifier so you can see everything you need to, and it glows at night with the tritium style strips inside of it, so you know north is glowing north.
Yeah.
I just got done working with the Weeblos here on orienteering.
Teach them how to use maps.
Exactly, using lens static compasses.
And it's actually I can use the word empowering, but it is actually really empowering for the student to realize that he's an E1 or an E2, but
and that's
he
a
knows
rank in the military, right?
Yeah, he does he's a PFC or he's a seaman or he's a whatever, but he can do it. He or she can do it on their own.
Right.
They don't have to wait for a supervisor or an officer to tell them what to do. They actually figure it out. And what is one of the greatest fears of humans? It's being lost.
Not finding your way.
Yeah, like a human adult, when you realize that you actually have no idea where you are or how to get where you need to go, that's a cold sweat down the back of your neck moments.
Interesting. That's interesting. It's true. It's when you're lost.
I mean, so that was a really, and of course we did the other stuff. We did the, how to run a rifle, how to run a pistol, how to, work together.
Like Chevy Chase in Vacation when he gets lost in Chicago, he takes the wrong exit.
There you go. You lose all your hubcaps.
He's like, I know where I'm going. She's like, you should stop and ask for directions. And he's like, I got this.
Remember what they painted on the side of his car?
What did that say?
Honky lips.
Yeah, that's right. Right. He was just sitting at the stoplight. They were just taking all his wheels off and everything because
he's like, I'm not from here. I'm from Buffalo.
Totally letting it go. But a little orienteering, understanding.
So, bringing us up to speed.
Yeah.
There I am contracting.
Okay.
I contracted full time, did small arms and tactics, and right at the end of that, all contracts stop. All contracts end. Anybody who's ever contracted at the very beginning, the contractee or the contractee is excited about this project. Oh, it's great. It's awesome. We're going to put all this money behind it. We're going to do all these great things. And then a year goes by, and 2 years goes by, and 3 years goes by.
Right.
And every year that goes by, they're like, well, we're going to tighten up the budget a little bit here. You've got 50 guys doing a job, and I'm like, we can actually pay 40 guys to do the exact same job and just make the other guys do more work. Mm-hmm. And then we can do 30 guys to do the same job as 50 and just have them
They're trying to cut
more
cut
work.
Corners, put more responsibility on you
it always,
for the dollar.
Yeah, every contract I've ever been on, it starts out great because whoever's paying for it, it's important to them at that moment.
Right.
But then as time goes by, they're like, well, it seems like we're well established and we don't need to spend all this money and we're going to do this and so forth. And so it got.
But that's kind of the draw to the world of contracting.
Well, it is. That's why contractors always have their resumes out. Even if you just started a contract, you always have your resume out because the headhunters will call you and they're like, hey, we're doing this and this is what we're doing. And then you get to balance and the employers are like, hey, that's crap. And I'm like, I know the deal.
Right.
In 2 years, there's 24 of us, and in 2 years there'll be 18 doing the same job as 24, and you'll just want us to come in earlier and stay later for the same money. Or they'll say, hey, good news. We renewed the contract.
Right.
We're going to have to reduce your pay by 7%, but you still have a job. And then they'll do it again the next year. And you're like, wow, so if I stay here, like every year I stay here, I'll just make less money,
but do more responsibility.
But I'll have more responsibility.
Exactly.
Where do you go to get a job like that? It's crazy.
Raise your hand right here.
Yeah, whoa. So I started a thing called Student of the Gun. I actually, somebody approached me about doing some training videos. And we did a training video, and then it did moderately well. And they said, well, have you ever thought about doing television, doing TV?
Sure.
I was like, okay.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it.
I've been a professional writer for 25 years. I've been
That's
writing
awesome.
for the outdoor shooting sports world since 93. And I said, okay, well, I got a lot of stuff rolling around my noggin and a lot of experience and so forth. So I wrote the show. I wrote the show and produced the show and starred in the show, and then I had a director and executive producer and all that. And we did the cable circuit. The Pursuit Channel, the Hunt Channel, the Sportsman's Channel, all the typical, deer,
Outdoor Channel,
deer and fishing and bullets, stuff. Yeah. Now Outdoor Channel and Sportsman's Channel are the same. When I started, they were all different companies, and now they're kind of all
conglomerated into each other.
And my oldest son, who you met,
yes,
a couple years into it, I actually broke away from the original guy that I was working with, and we started doing it all on demand. And it's funny because, in the world that we're in now, producing on-demand 24/7 material.
I see. Yes.
Like the world that we're in right now, we're doing a podcast, which is 100% on demand. Right. Netflix is 100% on demand. Hulu, you name it, it's app television. Right. It is now. It's not the future. It's today.
Right.
But the firearms industry is always 5 to 10 years behind everything. It took them, they were 5 to 10 years late getting into TV. And then TV started, and I actually did some research, industry research, and I found out about this thing like 6-7 years ago called Roku.
Yeah, Roku.
Like 2012.
It's like a stick.
Like I found out about Roku.
Right.
And I think it was 2013. I went into Walmart in November, pre-Christmas. It was either 13 or 14, maybe it was 14. And there was a huge Roku display in the electronics. I told Jared, I said, that's it. I said, Walmart, say what you will about them, but they're no fools.
No, they're going to go after a product. Yeah.
They know
market research,
what the trend is going to be.
That's right.
So Jared and I we produced Student of the Gun Television as an app TV, as a TV app.
Right.
So now, if you go to Roku, if you go to Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, AirPlay, all that.
And all of you out there listening should do this.
You just go boop, 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 boop. Student of the Gun TV. There could be like, well, what channel is your show on? I'm like, it's this one called Student of the Gun.
Student of the Gun. Yeah,
it's my channel. We own the channel. So
that's awesome.
What's funny is, but in 2013, I had people in the industry telling me, we don't know if that's going to work. We don't think adults are ready to use the internet to watch TV.
That's because it's them.
And I said, have you ever heard of this thing called Netflix? I said, have you ever heard of this thing called HBO? And they're like, duh, of course I had. I said, HBO just spent $1 billion. I don't know if it's $1 billion, but it was a lot.
Right.
Developing a standalone app called HBO Go.
That's right.
They didn't do that because they're like, hey, we're bored. What should we do today? I don't know.
No, they believe it in mobile.
Throw $100 million into app television.
That's right. It's all about mobile.
Yeah. If your material's not available now on demand, don't bother doing it.
Right.
You're wasting your time doing
nobody's dialing in the stations.
So, Jared, we've got it. So, and what was funny is, like it was 2015 or 2016, a year or two after we started doing it, Roku was the #1 app television device in the world.
Oh, yeah, I know of it.
#1.
Sure.
Right. And then Apple TV was next, and then Amazon. Amazon's trying to become the next
Prime.
one.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Amazon Fire TV.
Right.
But, and what's funny is and I don't know what your experience is with media and production of media, but people are like, oh no, man, we're going to do this with, and people, I get these emails, they're like, hey, we've got a slot on our cable network. You want to buy some time? I'm like, no.
Right. Well, do you want to buy time on the local cable
Yeah, do you want to
network?
buy time on, I said, and I tell people, like, look, cable's dead.
Does this look like
cable
a
and satellite
noise?
are dead. They're like, no, they're not. I was like, you don't realize it yet, but they are. They are. So, and if your listeners, if you guys are paying for direct or dish, throw that in the garbage.
I don't have any cable.
Go to Walmart, buy a Roku play, or if you're an Apple guy, go buy an Apple thing,
Xbox,
and or watch it. My youngest son has an Xbox. And people are like, how do you watch TV? I said, I watch it through my kid's Xbox.
Yeah, all the time. You could buy every app on Xbox and still pay less than what a cable television is charging you.
I had a friend who was paying $179 a month.
Rip off.
On direct TV. I said, you're crack smoking.
I just don't.
Stop doing that. I said, you know how much fun stuff you could buy for $179? You could buy guns, ammo, you could buy all kinds of stuff. So stop doing that. So.
Yeah, and I don't have cable. I dropped it straight up. It's like you got Netflix, you've got Hulu.
They're like giving cable away now. They're like, hey, will you please take our cable?
I have a free TV satellite. I mean, antenna in my house, and we can watch 2, 4, 5, 6, 13 or whatever around here locally. So I completely agree with you on. And that's cool that you have on Roku. Is it still happening? And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, Student of the Gun.
If you're listening to me right now and you have Roku, you go boop, 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 and you type in ST, you spell student. And of the, and it'll probably autocorrect gun, whether it's Apple or Roku or Amazon Fire, whatever, and you can watch it right now. Boop, boop, boop.
And that's exactly what you should go do. And you should check out Paul's Roku channel, or just go check out studentofthegun.com even, right?
Yeah, because, that takes you everywhere you need to go. The TV channel, the radio. We started doing radio. Student of the Gun Radio, we started in 2013. And we're basically on everything. We're on demand, so we're on iHeartRadio, which is nice because iHeart is huge.
Yeah, it used to be Clear Channel.
iHeartRadio is big, and then of course you have iTunes, and iTunes feeds all these little ones like Pocket Cast and Podcast Gallery and Podcast Republic and SoundCloud and all that. They all feed. Like we send everything to iTunes, and then all the other ones they pull that feed in. So it doesn't really matter what your favorite podcast app is on your phone. You're like, I'm a Pocket Cast guy, and great.
It's all coming from
the same source. There's two sources. There's iHeartRadio and there's iTunes. That's an industry. Behind the scenes industry stuff. Podcast Republic doesn't have their own dedicated thing. I've been doing this for like 6 years now. I think I know. But anyway, yeah, if you got and everybody, if you got an Apple phone, I think iHeartRadio like is standard on it. iTunes is standard on it.
Yeah, it is exactly.
So
and that's on demand right there. You can be on a ski lift.
Yeah, you can be anywhere.
Sitting on a lift, just watching it. You can watch it right there.
So yeah, we've got that. We've got the public thing, and then of course we do all the stuff here with. We're working with Jeff. We're doing informational videos, educational videos,
and that's here at the Ready Man offices.
At the Ready Man.
That's what's up here in Salt Lake City. That's the headquarters of it. And so I just want to thank Ready Man as well for allowing me the opportunity to use their podcast studios here. That Ready Man talks about all his survival techniques and everything on his show. So make sure you check out Ready Man. And I also have rapid fire questions with Rad. Okay. And so I like to just throw out some real questions and find out a little bit more about you.
You might regret it, but okay.
Favorite sport?
Favorite sport? Wrestling.
Wrestling. Favorite wrestler?
Retired? Undertaker.
Oh yeah.
Active duty. Let me see. Active duty. Come on. I'll say Braun Strowman. Easy.
Okay. And then who's the yes guy?
Oh, Daniel Bryan.
Right.
But he's not yes anymore. He's no. He's a heel now, and he's a douche.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll give him that. And then, okay, so what's your favorite color?
Green.
And what's your favorite food?
My favorite food now is any kind of well-prepared steak.
Any kind, yeah, right. Just nice.
I'm keto now, so a lot of my favorite foods are not they could be my favorite foods, but I can't.
I think Paul is saying send him a tomahawk straight from Salt Bay, please.
I'm keto now.
You'd like to eat that dipped in some butter, fried up, nice and yumminess, huh? Okay, so let's see here. What is the last place that you took a vacation?
Last place I took a vacation.
So you got 2 kids. You got, I believe, Jared and Zach.
I got 3 actually.
3.
I've got a grown daughter who lives on the other side of the country, and my 2 sons live here in Utah.
Okay.
Last place I took a vacation was Las Vegas with my wife.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. And what is the favorite genre of music that you like to listen to? What pumps you up? What gets you going?
Oh well, obviously I have to listen to metal when when I was out there and doing the stuff.
Yeah.
I like to I really like the old stuff because I'm 1980s. I graduated in 1985. So anything 1985 genre. But I like a lot of the new stuff. I say new, like Pop Evil is probably my favorite new band.
Okay.
My favorite new recent band.
Okay.
And if you haven't checked out Pop Evil, you're wrong. And here's the thing: you've heard them. The crazy thing about Pop Evil is if you've listened to a rock and roll station, you've heard them. And then you realize, then you put the two together and you're like, oh, I know that song. It's those guys. Yeah, I really like those guys.
And working around all of the smell of coffee here in this warehouse, I mean, I see you have this mug here. How much hippies fill up that mug right there?
Oh, listen up, hippies. See, that's one of the things, a real quick story. In the modern military, they're so freaking weak that when you're an instructor, you had a drill instructor. Did your instructor care about your feelings? My drill instructor didn't care about my feelings, but all of a sudden we're concerned about feelings now.
Right.
So you can't use certain things. So when I was instructing, I would refer to them as hippies because I get away. I said, "Listen up, hippies," and it was great because you had all these 18 and 19-year-olds.
You can't even use knife hand anymore, right?
Oh, no one took my knife hand away from me.
No, you have to do like this.
Yeah.
I see guys like
do the shocker,
the 3 finger. Yeah, they're
like
you have to do it like this. It cannot be the full fingers.
I think if you threw the shocker,
you'd get in trouble.
You'd probably get in way more trouble than a knife hand.
I'm so sensitive with that.
So the greatest thing about that was, you have a bunch of like 18 and 19-year-olds, and I walk over and I go, "Listen up, hippies," and then I would just say nothing, and then they'd whisper to each other.
Who's the hippie?
Did he just call us hippies?
You're all like,
I don't know. They're like, we're not hippies, man. Like, you're all hippies. Everyone's a hippie but me. Listen up. So one of our fans, one of the Student of the Gun radio fans, a box arrived one day.
And it had
this in it. And I was like, that is awesome.
That's Listen Up, Hippies.
Listen up, hippies.
Well, I just want to thank you, Paul Markel, for being on Fired Up with Rad today.
Thank you.
And I want to
got me fired up.
Well, thanks, dude. I want to shake your hand, and I want to thank you for serving. That I want you to know that I will say right now that Chesty is my Lord and Savior.
Oh, there you go.
I have found him going out and doing war games at Camp Pendleton. I have been at Mount Site 131. I've been at K2 out there doing war games on large scale, and I go into the sewer systems.
See, I was at Lejeune one time, or not Pendleton one time.
Mm-hmm.
One time.
It's a huge landmass.
Oh, I know. I went to the rifle range out there when I was in C school.
And I just want to say, all you Marines out there, wherever you're at in this world, that I support you and we support you, and you just keep doing your job.
Semper Fi, biatches.
Yeah, all day long. Okay. So I just want to thank you for being on Fired Up with Rad.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I want to thank Ready Man for letting me use their studios.
Woo!
And I want to thank Hurricane Media for allowing me the opportunity to host this podcast. So for all of you out there, go check out hurricane.media. Go check out studentofthegun.com. And a big handshake to Paul Markel. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You have a great voice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this ain't your first rodeo.
I've been in front of a microphone once or twice.
Giddy up, bro. This shirt's just for you, dude. See that right there. Hoorah. Hoorah. All right. Peace.